A land where your curiosity meets their perspective. It might not be the Stone Age, but we leave no stone unturned. Stream knowledge at tgn10.com.
We'll lose the true value of really addressing issues that make sense to us. A whole youth parliament group in Rwanda is out there advising the president, and a whole youth here in South Africa is on Twitter saying, I see you. But we're not really addressing things that really make sense so that we as a country can really thrive and stand out. Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the very second episode of Podversation. If it's a conversation, it's a podversation. Let's podversate. And I believe you've kind of succumbed to how the show really works. There's a quote, then we move over to now officially talking about the quote, and the quote becomes the theme as it be. So now let's get into today. I believe re se re bone quote ya rona letsatsi e we ngwana o sa leng o lela o swela tharing. Again, on that, ba botlhe ra se itse seralelo seo sa gore ngwana o sa leng o swela tharing. Masingathi to ukuyibhekisisa singakakhali ezisizwe, right? Asikakhali ezisizwe. And I'm not talking about ukuthi asikakatoyitoyi, no, let's not get that into perspective. But into engizokhuluma ngayo today is our country, right? It's the scandals that have been occurring ever since the second democratic president of South Africa, right? And with that said, our country has a lot of history, beautiful one, and majorly the one that we're known for, which is the major one, which is the apartheid era, right? And there are some things that we as the current generation, I believe, we've adopted actually from that era and brought them here. I believe we should be smarter by now in a way. As we already know, if it's a conversation, it's a podversation, it's podversate. I'm sharing my perspective. It in so many ways that in this very country of ours, Tandi Toitoi number one, as said Toitoi, yeah, we usually do that. We do that a lot. We lack medication in the clinic. We burn the clinic. We now don't have a clinic. We want to basically do something. That's how it worked. I believe, why am I saying from that era that worked? It worked ngale sense it is, if you really kind of think about it, right? It worked ule sense yokuthi we were burning what was not really ours, not really ours. But now we build the roads that we're traveling on so that we can have them for convenience and whatever, and literally being part of the modern era. I'm not an expert in this, but hear me out. We're then burning our own stuff. We're like, I built this house, I'll burn it. I don't know where to live now. Right? I'll burn this public facility. Now I need it now. We are not smart enough in that sense, right? And realize that I'm saying we in a form of us as South Africans as we stand, right? Because majority rules. If the whole majority is doing what it's doing, the whole country is doing that, honestly. And this comes in light in terms of the current status quo. Cyril Ramaphosa. Our president has been found to be under fire most recently with Ipapapalala. Sorry for that, but yeah, for Ipalala farm and the Pala theft farm, theft basically as it's being headlined, and within that, siyabheka manje history. Where's the history going? We had our second president, he resigned. We had our third president, he resigned. We had our fourth president who's in the potential lines of also resigning. Apparently, if, according to ENCA, the news that I watch, you swear that you look at it from that end. They are saying yesterday he was supposed to, was it yesterday or the day before yesterday, he was supposed to resign, right? It depends on when you're already watching this. With regards to that, we are seeing a trend. Are we as South Africans, because of the poverty that we saw, because we ANC futhi ugogo mamtshela or umtshela umkhulu, hayi yazi i-ANC kumele siyikhiphe, hayi mntanami yazi yasikhulula, hayi yasikhulula i-ANC. ANC has freed us. Why would we let it go, regardless of what they're doing to us, for the fact that they have saved us? Somebody, I believe, was it a Bruce Temegwayo thing where he said, I believe it's him, but if I'm misquoting him, apologies. But the quote went something like this, to whomever said it, said the ANC was a liberative party. It was meant to really liberate us, not govern us. Right? That's one thing Mastata Sipega. It really makes sense. Let's look at the cabinet. I'm a minister's way too. Right? Because I've just outlined everything. Let's look at our ministers as well. There's one thing that we're going to be looking at into this conversation. We're going to be looking at and comparing the governments within Africa and within with abroad aspects as well, right? We're going to be looking a lot into that. But now let's just start over. So with how we're going right now, the current society in itself, we more learned, we more informed, we better equipped than those old people in parliament, most of them anyway. And we are that equipped, but how far are we reaching? Right? How far are we really taking these platforms? How far are we using these platforms in order to not gain, but to really represent a larger majority of us? To say, look, we're seeing the wrongs that are being done, and we don't really like them. Are we really informing each other about this, right? Are we really informing each other about this? Are we putting each other up in terms of information, right? Are we putting each other up in terms of information, knowing the jurisdiction, knowing the constitution? Are we as a society informing each other to know if petrol is this high, this might be the case? But yet again, would I be wrong if I was to also start and say you might also be involved in the currency going the way it's going right now? Let's go back to looting. How many jobs are lost and how many jobs have possibly been recovered? Right? A loss of jobs is a drop in GDP. That's less of a rise, obviously, due to that. Businesses collapse and therefore less jobs. And we know how the real story goes. If we really want to be pointing fingers and say, you did it, are we really also sure that you did it? Maybe again, it's a thing of looking at the mirror again and also saying, we did it at the end of the day. Because once you kill an infrastructure that is in need to another, which even in this case, it's ourselves, right? In it being. So in it being that it's also us. We're also in need of the very same infrastructure. We're also in need of the very same equipment or facility of that nature that we might then end up needing. But we burn it because, well, government nyegi sees if I see she see anything. We understand. Those old people, them, they used to do this. So when you do this, they know how to really behave, right? But at the same time, we become numb to drama to a point whereby we're also neglecting the fact that corruption is happening around us. And at the same time, with it happening around us, we ourselves are resisting to be informed. And ignorance is bliss. In many factors, we are highly ignoring a lot of things. South Africa as a country is under fire. We are in the dark, literally in the dark, right? We are in the dark. We are having a very struggling economy. We're being beaten by countries like Rwanda, Tunisia. Actually, you see the Tunisian currency compared to the dollar. If you haven't, I would suggest that you truly look it up. You'd be amazed, right? We've recently been beaten by Zambia, right? As Trevor Noah said it. At some point, they hadn't seen an escalator for a very long time, and now they're escalating away from us. It's so much that regardless of everything that's going on, there are these people that have faced so much, and the way that you might say maybe there's somebody behind them, maybe they're being puppeteered and being used to maybe there's evidence, maybe there's none. I'm no expert in this. If it's a conversation, it's a podversation. That's podversate. In many regards, South Africa is somewhere whereby we're like, God, we are basically living in a house on fire. It's basic collapsing here and there, and neither of us was told how to duck and roll, and neither of us was told or taught how to basically put up extinguishers in every single court. Neither of us have been done that, but the very same leaders who are sitting just right in the patio enjoying the fire pool, no, I mean the swimming pool, are just there being whom they would love to be. And are like, oh, look, hey, you know what? I've got a fire extinguisher and I'm going to take it. But I go there and realize that if this house burns, okay, I need to take as much as I can from whatever hasn't burned yet, right? Even way before they saw I was going to burn, from that small fire that started happening. Don't get me wrong, I still look at Tamyeki, the president, the former president, as who did miracles on our economy. I was young enough to really not understand it, but when you grow and you literally look at the stats, it was beautiful. Um, you look at the corruption that really takes place. Are we really saying, if we say, okay, cool, we'll take a new president, right, into this and be like, president, come in, be here, president. And because you've got, I know that the stance was, he has his own money, he will never, do one, two, three, but he's smart enough to do it, very smart enough. Who? 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 I don't know. I don't know. I never really mentioned that, but it's who you really put into power. Again, at the same time, it's even ourselves. Apart from Amkhulu bethu nabogogo bethu, even ourselves are like, there's this other party. No, no. They don't have the appropriate experience, right? The other one, Jesus might need to come to save us with this other one. The other ones, oh, are they there? Oh, they exist. Oh, yeah, I forgot about them, right? But better the devil you know than the one you don't. That's why we end up really voting ANC, you know, a no conversation, ANC. And with so much, we have said a lot. We have had our views. We have our views. there are most and many things that can come out of this whole scandal of Babsil Ramaphosa, right? And with all of that, we've seen. I mean, according to me, he was a non-existent president for the longest time. I actually recognized that we had a president in 2020. I actually had forgotten that we had a president. There was even memes at some point where we were going in and be like, but your president, where's the president? What if the president did one, two, three? There were a lot of things. We were like away, like in a relationship, you find your partner being neglecting you. We were neglected by our president for a couple of years, which is 100% true fact. He appeared in 2020 to address us about basically locking us in our houses, and we did. We fell in there. We were locked up in our houses, and further went in and, yeah, really cried. I don't know if there were onions before him, maybe. And after that, he was called Cupcake, the sweetest guy ever. Being president is very tough. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I look at that and I'll use it again. It makes sense. It became that. Then jiggy jiggy, you're still neglecting. Now the corona is like subsiding. Now you're back to neglecting us again. Our fathers out here neglecting us. He's neglecting us again. And then boom, buys a new crib, farm, plants, money there, puts it, farm and planting, understand the metaphor. And then such is happening. Now we're like, what did you do? We had the Zondo Commission. We literally paid to see people being done nothing. We literally paid tax money to see people being done nothing, and you zoom into the whole scenario and you find that you're sick and then you're out. Beautiful machines. It ain't my machine, right? Akusu machine one. Mari, in many aspects, you have ministers. I'm just basically putting it in there. Is it because we're less literate? But even if we were less literate, are we even aware that we can inform each other about certain points and ways? When you open a business, when you do this, when you do that, are you aware of what you can achieve with all that you do have at your disposal? Are you, are you aware of such things? Are you actually even made aware as to how you as an individual can really contribute to society? Man, that's planning is every country, and fine, we get that. But to the fact whereby we as a country are numb, saze saba numb kule country to drama. When it happens, we don't speak on it. We rather start talking about your favorites, yakokota ngithi. We rather talk on, oh, there's something going on. Yeah, it's your bomb. We'll monetize it for good attention. We'll lose the true value of really addressing issues that make sense to us. A whole youth parliament group in Rwanda is out there advising the president, and a whole youth here in South Africa is on Twitter saying, I see you. But we're not really addressing things that really make sense so that we as a country can really thrive and stand out. Countries like Rwanda are beating us now, right? They are. You'd imagine. You would imagine the very same countries that you see as nothing are thriving. Yazi akusathrive ngaphandle. But we're here. We are here tweeting about Uti. Here's the peach fruit. Here's the eggplant, and here are 3 droplets of water. Yeah, better for that. That sells. That will render me attention. But the real thing that is going to serve the very same generation which you're going to live on, so that you can buy bread cheaper and still eat it for the next day and see potentials in literally seeing a child go to school and not think that I'm going to not have a textbook or a textbook or all those things that are necessary for the survival of the next generation being really catered for. We rather tweet, not out there. We rather ignore a lot of things. We rather be numb, as if the things that are happening around us are not affecting us. The fact that we're living in a house on fire doesn't affect us. We're in the heat. We're taking the heat. Inflation. Yeah, I'm gonna pay more. Yeah, petrol is now expensive. We aren't bothered as a country. It's awkward. How unbothered can you become? How unbothered can we eventually become? That's a major question. What are we really doing in majority of things, right? How are we really countering situations that really need countering? How are we really looking at so much, right? How are we seeing that some things need our attention as a country?
Water. I'm dehydrated from talking about a country that now has water shedding. Right. We are living in a country that is, number one, ministers that we don't actually even know they can be. One minister has had how many positions? 10, 14, 8. I don't know. Are we sure that he's capable of telling us which way we're supposed to really sit in a taxi? Are we are we sure that we are capable of driving with actually our own 2 feet? And it's so much that as a country, we've just become numb to a point that we've been left in a river to float, to possibly die of hunger at some point in this very journey which we've been led along to float in. Because as Kali, passing through, somebody's passing in the bushes, they might actually hear us cry, Maras Kali. Should somebody stand up and say, Mankale, you're trying to be a hero. You're not a Black Panther. Stop it. But no, don't stop it. Let's see if you will get people to really follow you. And then what happens? People don't really follow. It's the same thing as man text me and you text it. If I'm thinking the same way, you're thinking the same way, 100% sure nobody will text anybody. Are we that ignorant as a country? Right? It's one of those major questions. Are we that ignorant as a country? We don't know the teams that even lead these ministers. Are they literally even professionals in their own fields, really? Actually, even if they are they even listening to them without saying, Syohlani? Potentially. Call me a defamer. Freedom of speech, right? That's why I give my perspective. It's a conversation, it's a podversation, it's podversate. In many occasions. The question right now, which is one story I'll be following, is this Ramaphosa thing. Story. What is gonna happen? What is really gonna happen? Like, what really is gonna happen? Just like, what's really gonna happen after this? They don't have a potential candidate for if should something happen, right? They don't have anyone that can step up and say, Ramaphosa is gone and I'll be here for everyone. Actually, Ramaphosa may not be out here and saying other things. Nobody is there for that. With many things and many things that are going on into this country, we've been told things, we've seen things. There's pure denial of certain things that are literally in front of us. The question would be, and I believe this, to say, as we are a society, because of the society that we are, the fact that, we do something wrong, we'll treat it away. For the fact that as a country, we are that numb and that ignorant. It's fine. People don't know. All they know is to do what? Preach hustling. No, keep doing it without knowing how really they can really afford their own lives to really make up for the lives of people that they possibly don't know around the world, how their choices affect today and tomorrow and the next generation and potentially the continent. You're popular as a country. Popular for what? You've got beautiful safaris, yeah. You've got beautiful this, beautiful that, yeah. But what else? If countries like Zambia have a better currency, Botswana, Tunisia, Rwanda's coming in. You have Liberia. No, it's an oil country. Yeah, I know. I know there's an oil country. Say it with me again. It's an oil country. And what country are you? What in actual fact, what is South Africa providing to the world? There is something, I know. There are a few things. Freud's tea for wine. Just mention that one thing that I know that nobody else could really provide in the country, in the world. You know, there is. But what are we really popular for? Germany is popular for cars. The States is popular for, popular for something, which is basically marketing on a global scale. They've mastered capitalism on a very good scale, where everybody's really benefiting from it. Because I would sit down and some people be like, Yazi, they're not smart enough, these people of ours, in terms of Ulonda. If you listen to some podcasts and when I take information from these other ones, you'd find that some things are really too good to be true. When you go deeper into your research as well, into all of that, you're like, so these countries are doing this and then deflecting that the whole world would see them as innocent as possible. Like countries like the United States are not as innocent as they look. They've done a lot of bad things. Obviously, we know that, to stay where they are. And everybody's really successful and doing whatever they're doing. And they're really chowing from all of that. And what happens to us as South Africa? Because we're popular, it's good enough. Can treat it away. We have nothing that we are exporting of value. We have no form of control in terms of how our oh God, okay, I'm not going to actually mention it. I'm going to be a little bit unbiased on this one, but there's a movie whereby Claus. And there are points where I was sitting with somebody in the theater, right? My heart at a theater. And when I was sitting with my heart in theater, there was words in Xhosa that this person be like, instead of saying perform, like the person was like, him. I was like, eh? And was translated breathe. I was like, what? Okay, what happened? There were a few errors. We don't have certain amount of controls over how our language is really portrayed. And we just like, I know it's a move. But would we really acknowledge if somebody came and like, hey, man, athetha now iXhosa. Anokuthetha athetha now iXhosa. Athi him. And I might be wrong, maybe my Xhosa is that rough. I don't know. correct me if I am, but there were a few things that when you look into the movie and look at the translation of some Xhosa words, they don't match. It's like when Trevor said what he said at some point that was the Oscars, I believe, or the Grammys. And then people looked like, and then he translated it as something else. And the room believed him. The translation is not so much different. But yeah, it's a movie. Just watch the movie, G. GB, watch the movie, be cool. Just be there, man. But we don't have certain control. China has control. A movie came out about them, and they were like, no, we don't want one, two, three. They were listened to. They have almost half the population, most of it, which is literally poorer than the whole world. What are you really saying? Japan is, I would say, by far mostly maybe the most innovative in the world at this point, right? Dubai is out here knowing how to maintain tourism, regardless of the other dramas. I think if you're aware of the news, you would be aware of Dubai's dramas and what they're really doing, right? And we're not really about cancel culture in South Africa. If we were, as in, Unota would have been cancelled. But we're not really about cancel culture. We're numb. We're numb to drama. That's who we are. This is South Africa. Welcome to it. The place that is popular, Kokota. But the problem is that I don't think the door is always open there, because all we're just doing is at this point we should just, why not leave the country with its leaders? If that was possible, eh? Just leave them and seal those with a country that is unoccupied. A person that forced to move out of this country, they move, they're gone. Why? Ask yourself the question, why are they very much, okay with moving away? We're numb, we never try to stand, but the very same leaders stood for something at some point during the apartheid regime. But when you cannot stand against them and say the stand that you took, is this the stand that after 25 years of democracy that you really wanted? Is this the South Africa that you saw? Or did you see a South Africa where you are paid, chowing, living, and taking advantage of the illiterate, poor citizens that you claim to have fought for? Think on many occasions, think on many things. One of them isn't this one. I'm sure as well hell not going to really sit and really not share my perspective on what I think, on what I feel, on how I believe this country should be seeing certain forms of life. Because we have many educated individuals, but how many of them are educated enough to really progress further an idea that would value and raise the country? How much of good support is being given for that? No, it's not. Whereas when that happens, when such an idea comes about, the government wants to be involved and it wants a piece of how it can literally then be somewhere, somehow, challenge something here and there, to a point whereby you have a business that literally just overshadows even the creator or the founder of it at some point, and really never focus on the very proposition, but right point, yeah, fine, we move. Where have we gone? It's a beautiful country. We're waiting for 2024. to vote out a party. We have a full more 12 months and how many days from the 1st of December, left to really see change or really decide on who can really make a difference in our country, either as a party or as an independent electoral. Because I don't think anything's really about to come to form. Anything's really about to come to really change, for us to really see what is. You might just love being on TV, being a hero, being that individual. But do you really want to see a change in South Africa? It all starts with that person really changing themselves, really knowing what the people want. Collaborations are the backbone at most of how America operates. Collaborate with most of its brand. Not steal from them, collaborate with them. And that's one thing that I believe South Africa won't know for a very long time. Chances of saying that this country will have improved in like 20 years. You can go back to saying, but we went through 1, 2, 3. Germany had its problems. And a lot of them, like they literally came out of debts over debts over debts, joined the EU. They good. What is the EU really doing? Apart from assuring that the other Westerns are obviously taking from us. America will never give anything without really having something to gain from anything. Do you really think in your right mind that just because you're associated with a certain country, you will really gain a certain amount of goodwill or anything? No, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't. It will never work like that. It's you being capable of taking who you are, putting it in there, and saying this is what it is. This is what we're taking to the world. Saying this is Africa, and Africa can basically collaborate as countries and potentially rival the whole world. We have the potential of diamonds as an apple, right? We have minerals around us. We're not trying to say, oh, you, look, come and help us create a machine here that we can 1, 2, 3. None of that is being thought of. But as I said, it's a conversation. It's a podversation. Let's podversate. This is my perspective. Stop burning the structures. Let's start really informing each other of how we can really line up as a country. How we can really start to really grind up, even if it might take us 5 years to really recognize some of those things. But wake up. That's all I can say. Wake up. There's nothing more to it. The country really needs to start being. We really can't continue to be this ignorant, this numb, this country that just views everything as a fact that we need to do. Look, it's quite simple. There's a country within your own country. You do realize that, right? And it's thriving better than the country in which it is within. We're not talking about Lesotho. If you know what I'm talking about, you know it. Northern Cape. Hinch, national. That's a hint. Why is that the case? Isolative operation. You get a group of people, get a group of organizations together that have a common vision, line up to it. Get another group of organizations, individuals, line up to it.
get another group, just like that. The more we learn to really collaborate as brands, organizations, I'm loving what Ubaloyi and who's this Ulikawa are doing. Beautiful things, right? Limpopo. Anyway, I'm loving what they're doing. And with that, more especially what Lukaku has done recently, the collaborations that he's done and everything. This is basically what I believe. This is we have blueprints. But what are you doing? Ignorance, I wanna be like him. No, you don't want to really know what to really bring so that he can possibly recognize that and be like, oh, okay, cool. Let's bring that together. You wanna be him. Guys, just because a formula works doesn't mean that there's no other basically a subject of the formula that can be applied to this very formula so that the formula can continuously be working even for other individuals. Come on. And we really went that back. Have we really went that back, Vele? Let's put it there. Let's reevaluate. That's how this country within our country really thrive, by just knowing collaborative isolation. That's what I call it anyway. And we would 100% like to see that further. So wake up, South Africa. Let's make a few changes. Let's put it out there, and let's see it forth. I will be following this Ramaphosa story as we go along, and see how really the NEC is really, because it's meeting again on Tuesday, how they're really coming together on this and what can really be achieved in certain aspects. The things that we're really looking forward to as well. So yeah, I'm back to my blue wall for now. Not that I couldn't place my background, there were clarity issues apparently. And yeah, but 100%. So this is what it is. Let's wake up. Let's arise. Stop being numb. Wake up. From me, it's a conversation. It's a podversation. So let's podversate. Till I see you.